We've been talking about this whole party nightlife district for Montreal now for a while. City promised they would finally come up with a plan. The first plan didn't really make a whole lot of sense, so they dropped a new plan. So there is a new policy on nightlife now in the city of Montreal, which is supposed to pave the way, right, for loosening opening hours, for starters, and allowing, and remember they used to try this on a limited basis, right, allowing for all-night events beyond just 3 a.m. Well, this new plan, I think fair to say, I said it dropped like a thud. It dropped like a leaded balloon because critics say it's vague, and surprise, surprise, it's filled with excessive red tape, bureaucracy, and all in all kind of leaves a lot to be desired. And that was made worse, I think, by the fact, bad enough, this didn't really sort of address the situation the way the city promised it might. There's a story this week in the Globe and Mail, of all places, in Toronto, and the headline is, How Montreal's Fabled Nightlife Lost Its Spark. What happened to our je ne sais quoi? Let's try to find out. One of the people quoted in that story is Sergio de Silva. He's the owner of Turbo House, a bar, of course, down on Saint Denis. And you're quoted in that story, Sergio. So obviously the folks in Toronto decided to reach out to talk to someone firsthand. Is it fair to say, as far as you're concerned, this policy, this new one from the city, is in fact a dud, or am I being unfair?
No, I mean, there's a lot in there philosophically, but there's not a lot of concrete changes that will actually address some of the issues that we're having.
So let's deal with the issues. I know we've talked about this before. Part of the problem, this, I guess, made worse by La Tulipe, this idea that suddenly, I don't know if we blame this on gentrification or not, but the fact that suddenly people moving into neighborhoods where bars have been forever and clubs have been forever are suddenly disconcerted by the noise emanating from these places. Is that addressed in here?
No, and I think for the case of La Tulipe, that's kind of like not really an honest argument of what happened. Like with Mr. Baudouin, who moved into that space, I think like it wasn't him being bothered by noise. I think he wanted what he wanted. He wants La Tulipe not to be there. He can see that it's worth money, and it's very easy to abuse the bylaws that are currently on paper. So the new nightlife plan doesn't do anything to change how, developers or anybody else may be able to abuse these bylaws, where it's very easy to have somebody evicted or fined to the point where they have to leave because the law is completely on the side of the person, a random person making a complaint.
So that's okay. So that's a random person, one person making a complaint. In terms of gentrification of neighborhoods, is that something you're seeing where you are?
No, I mean, I'm on Saint Denis. At the end of the day, it's a party neighborhood. It's a situation where every single storefront here can be a bar, and the city wants this stuff to happen here. It's a mixed-use sort of space. I mean, there will be noise complaints every now and again, but ultimately, they're few and far between. I don't think that there's like a neighbor versus venue or neighbor versus bar situation. I think a lot of it is just sort of like some of these spaces are worth a lot of money, and people want to be able to have people move in there where they shouldn't be in the first place.
So, the article in the Globe anyway says it uses the line, sort of Montreal may have gotten sleepier while no one was looking. Is that something you're noticing? Have people changed their habits when they go out?
Well, no. I mean, people are just going to do different things that aren't quite bars. If you're going to a bar and they're charging you $11 for a bottle of Budweiser, a kid on like a fixed income who's a student isn't going to go there. They're having concerts in basements, they're having concerts under bridges, they're partying in parks, they're partying wherever they can party that's affordable. Like the cost of living is through the roof. You can't expect them to then go to these places that have been around forever and then continue to raise their prices. It's not accessible to these, to students. Couple that with the fact that, there's all this crazy legislation with the cost of tuition for out-of-province students, which makes things even more difficult.
So you said no to the first three questions I asked you with respect to you believe this, or whatever, but you're at the same time you're saying that the city's plan doesn't go far enough. What did you want to see in this plan that you didn't see?
What I'd like to see, and I think anybody who's in my position would love to see, is the agent of change policy be put in place. So things like people moving into neighborhoods that have bars and restaurants have to adapt to the neighborhood that they're moving in and not make the place that they're moving change. Like the La Tulipe situation, regardless of the mistakes made by the city, regardless of the mistakes made by Mr. Baudouin, all of that stuff wouldn't matter because there would be preventative policy in place, like the agent of change rule, that would put the mandate on the person moving in to conform with the neighborhood that he's moving into.
So I'm not sure what that means, though. If you talk about developers, for example, real estate is still pretty, maybe a good investment for them. They want to buy a building, and you're saying they should have to respect those rules, even if they want to buy that building and upgrade a building, right?
If they want to buy that building and operate that building that's next to a historical venue, then it's beholden on them to make the soundproofing changes to allow somebody to have a certain quality of life. It shouldn't be on La Tulipe that's been there for 110 years to make those changes. If you're moving in, you are responsible for making sure that you retain a certain quality of life.
So, you mentioned a minute ago, if you're selling a bud for $11, no wonder people aren't coming. But I wonder now, we hear so much. You mentioned foreign students, of course. The government is making it tougher and tougher for those people to come here. I'm guessing to some degree that's your clientele. Do you notice a change? You talk about them partying in basements, under bridges, et cetera. That's different from what it used to be, I don't know, 30 years ago, is it not?
Of course. I mean, when you can afford your apartment on, 3 or 4 nights working at a bar, as opposed to having to work 2 jobs and have 4 roommates, then yeah, like your disposable income will go down, and your ability to, go out and take part in nightlife also will be affected by that. The first thing to go when you're, tightening the purse is going to be these extracurricular activities.
So do you sense that the city, because, it's one thing to announce a plan, it's another to come out with one and then have everybody go, hey, this is exactly what we wanted, what we asked for. It's not. Does the city, you think, get this, that there is a change going on?
No, and I also don't think that there's the political will to actually make any of these changes. Like, to actually go up against the developers and things by putting in something like the Agent of Change, will sort of cause a lot of rifts. So, like, it's not an easy plan. It's not an easy thing to do. But if you actually want to see these places survive, if you actually want to see, like, nightlife improve, you're going to have to figure this stuff out. Like, even for myself, I'm in a neighborhood that can have these 24-hour bars, but there are still neighbors. Have they consulted the landlords? Have they consulted the neighbors when they're putting in these plans in place? Is that just, opening the door for more of these issues? If you have not changed the bylaws with these new plans that you're trying to put in, you're just asking for trouble if you're not putting everything in place to make sure that it goes smoothly.
How long you got into this business for a reason. You thought you could make money at it. How long ago was that, and how different are things now? I mean,
I started Turbo House almost 11 years ago, but I've been in and around venues my entire adult life. I've toured the world. I've seen how they do it in Berlin. I've seen how they do it in Lisbon. I've seen how they do it in London. And there is a vibrant nightlife because they understand that this is a huge part of tourism. Like, Montreal is a tourist city. The shirts that you see in the old port, good girls go to heaven, bad girls go to Montreal. Like, it's the city, it's the Las Vegas of the North. And, like, if you don't, put rules in place, if you don't allow people to do things that would make this the same kind of environment for, that reputation, then you're obviously going to end up, where we are now, where you have the Globe and Mail saying that we're a sleepy city. So are we a sleepy city as far as you're concerned? No. There's still amazing bands coming out of this place. There's still huge parties. Okay. Just because old reporters don't see where it's happening doesn't mean it doesn't exist. People will always find a place to party. People will always find a place to have a good time. Montreal is an amazing city for creative people, and they've found, different ways to do it. Just because they're not partying at my bar or Sir Winston Churchill or God knows where, it doesn't mean, like, it's not happening. You mentioned, I think this is interesting, right? Here's an administration acknowledging we need to do something, and then you said you don't think they have the political will to really make a big change. Does that mean we have an election coming up in a year from now, right? Yep. This administration, whoever ends up, it's not going to be Valérie Plante, but if it's Projet Montréal again, that kind of, is that the sound of a death knell for you? I mean, I wouldn't say no. There's always ways to adjust, and there's always creative ways to, go forward. Like, we offer free shows. We offer all kinds of things to make things accessible to everybody, to sort of to combat that sort of, like, cost of living rise. But, with Valérie Plante not going to run for re-election next year, having no incumbent, it really opens the entire field wide to be able to get somebody in there who can actually listen to what we need and can allow for this improvement to happen. It needs to happen in the city. So I'm getting there is a sense of optimism. That's good. Yeah, of course. I'm never going to be like, oh, this city has treated me well for my entire life. I've lived here from the minute I was born for 41 years. I have faith in this city and the people who live here. And, there's always been that je ne sais quoi. There's always going to be that vibe. And, like, I'm not scared of it going away. And I certainly am not waiting for a city official to tell me how to have fun.
Sergio de Silva owns Turbo House. Everyone go to Turbo House and celebrate and party and drink there because you know what? You should. Sergio, thanks so much.